Health. Usually at this point, I tease minor events of the film to catch up with intrigue and arouse your interest. But in the case of today's Kinches, absolutely any teaser is equated with the cruelest spoiler. So without further ado, with you is your favorite Kinognita, Andriy Neurotic. And this is the entrance to nowhere. The film begins quite fervently, and this is the only scene of this nature. After it, the film becomes as measured as it is allowed at all. Young Bonnie and Clyde fly into a grocery store on methamphetamine in order to become a little richer. Taking a few hundred tenge with her, Bonnie begins to demand from the poor Hindu that he also open the safe for them. In response to which the poor Hindu begins to read morals. You have chosen an interesting life for yourself. There's so much you could do. You don't care that you're going nowhere. Bonnie, after politely listening to his counterpart, just charges him with a lead injection right into the fuck. And that's where the introduction ends. Well, what can I say? A promising beginning takes us to a certain forest, in which a certain woman named Samantha, obviously lost, comes out to a certain hut. Inside, Samantha discovers a prehistoric mobile phone from your great-grandfather's time, a bed and a backpack. Accordingly, we can conclude that a person lives here. Someone, of course, will say, "Nonsense, no one will live in this hut." At such moments, I gloomily light a fictional cigarette, because the real ones I quit smoking a year and a half ago. And I remember that someone in our reality buys apartments with a square of 10 meters, so someone will live here. Actually, almost immediately this someone is announced. It turns out to be a guy named Tom, played by Scott Eastwood, the son of Clint Eastwood, with such perfect facial features that I'm literally starting to get angry. Mostly at myself. Tom immediately shows himself as a very good-natured guy, always ready to help. At the same time, and not devoid of a sense of humor. After all, instead of immediately explaining himself, first he ominously drives an axe into the ground, as if to say, "Well, yes. Maybe I'll kill you now." Already in the hut. What the fuck were the planes flying apart? That the holiday is soon some kind of already in the hut Tom throws, they say. I found myself in this forest a few days ago as a result of a car accident. And how he's going to get out of here now, he has no idea. There is no phone, no warm clothes, the car won't start. Samantha is only here for one night. Driving through this forest with her husband, their car suddenly stalled due to the lack of gasoline in it. Then there was a completely standard situation. The husband went in search of gasoline and disappeared. The wife, noticing that her husband had eaten too many pears, had already gone in search of him. Well, for now, she has found only this shack, and Tom, which you must agree, is also not bad. The situation is also aggravated by the fact that it carries the belly of a resident. So, if her husband, so to speak, got married, it would be shameful for her child to be fatherless. Tom decides to do this: drain the bands from his car, pour it into Samantha's car, and safely make Sebastian out of here. And while he is doing this, Samantha discovers a girl lying face down on the threshold of the house. Her name is Jody. And yes, this is the robber from the beginning of the movie. On the way to Samantha's car, Tom hears the sound of a gunshot, shits his pants and spills gasoline on the ground. He returns to the shack already on edge, so finding Jody here, who also has a bad temper, he immediately begins to fight with her. That's enough. If you are interested in the situation with sleeping places, today is your place. At the Parasha. Speaking of how Jody ended up here, in a nutshell, she was thrown out on the sidelines of life, like a finished bottle of vodka, by her robber boyfriend. Roughly speaking, he threw it. So the fact that during these couple of minutes of her being in the hut, she has already managed to fuck everyone's heads, can be understood. The next day, while Tom is engaged in an intelligence operation, Jody and Samantha decide to chat about everything. In the process of which something strange is revealed. Samantha is sure that they are in the state of New Hampshire. Jody insists they're in Wisconsin. If we turn to the map of the United States of America, we will see that New Hampshire and Wisconsin are at a decent distance from each other. So Jody, deciding that Samantha is just breeding her, resentfully leaves. Here the senior tracker Tom returns from reconnaissance, and this return turns out to be unplanned. So, I think I'm going crazy. I could swear I was walking in a straight line, and then I just ended up here again. It's schizophrenia. Jody assures Tom that if there's anyone who's gone, it's Samantha, because she thinks they're in New Hampshire. Tom asks Samantha if they're in some kind of New Hampshire. Mother, did you give a fuck at all? Samantha is offended by Tom, thinking that he and Jody are divorcing her. But then Tom gives out something completely beaten off.
But we're certainly not in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin? I didn't say anything about Wisconsin.
Where do you think we are, Tom?
In South Dakota. We turn to the map again and see that South Dakota is also quite far from New Hampshire and Wisconsin. And what is happening here is not yet clear. However, it doesn't take the guys too long to get caught up in this mess. A new problem comes to the fore. Initially, Tom had only a pack of breakfast cereal with him. When there was only one hungry family, it was tolerable. When Samantha appeared, the situation became problematic. Now, with the advent of Jody, it's a tragedy at all. Thus, not wanting to starve to death, the guys throw the slings on their shoulders and go on a long journey. In the style of the Lord of the Rings, the Brotherhood of the Anal Ring. So they stumble upon a hidden bomb shelter, inside which a decent amount of canned food and wine is found. They are decorated in German, just like the military maps in the bomb shelter. Moreover, absolutely everything is dated from the middle of the last century, which clearly suggests that this is a Nazi bomb shelter from the Second World War. How it appeared in an unspecified state is an open question. I suggest discussing it in the comments under this video. Here we also learn that Samantha was taught German by her mother, and her father was a German at all. This is an interesting detail. Having mixed up the food and drink, the children, quite rumbling with their tummies, decide to return to the hut. And you won't believe it, the hut, hearing their wish, teleports closer to them. This is some kind of new Yandex feature. Delivery, am I right?
It's impossible. The new recommendation system is my wave.
I'm starting to think that anything is possible. That night, the guys are lamp drinking, giggling and discussing everything. Once he goes out to pee, Samantha, who saw that day that Jody had a whole cutlet of money with her, plucked up the courage to ask to hold it in her hands. He's beautiful. Come on, a hat with them, it's a whole $1. Here Samantha draws attention to the fact that the money is fake and they have some kind of wrong candidate. Here a terrible thing is revealed.
It says here that they were printed in the 84th year. I've never heard of the Treasury issuing money from the future. Have you, Samantha? What year do you think it is now? 1962.
The author of the script M. Night Shyamalan. Once he returns to the hut, a heated discussion will begin, during which we learn that Samantha thinks they are in 1962. Jody thinks they're in 1985. Tom thinks they're in the year 2011. I think it's all some weird shit. At the same moment, a shot is heard in the distance, and the guys, clinging to the window, notice an armed man, to whom they immediately decide to run out in order to ask him for help. Here, by the way, there is a rather funny hack. Jody, noticing a man with a rifle, and calls him Michael Myers, the villain of the Halloween movie series, well, like as a joke. But Samantha, in the era of which Halloween has not yet been filmed, asks Jody a naive question, they say. Does she really know this person? This? Is it funny or not? I personally giggled. The guy with the gun immediately starts yelling at our Glavdodikov. And even though he shouts in German, but the fact that he is not going to help them in any way is understandable. This is the real linguistic magic. Already being tied up, the guys suddenly find out where they got to. Amateur radio, old wine, a bomb shelter, a psychotic German man.
I think we are in a different time period. His time.
Samantha immediately begins to accuse him of the fact that he, a man from the future, transferred them to this time. On this basis, another funny dialogue happens.
Tom, have you done time travel in a year? Did you bring us here?
I know the year sounds like something very far away, but we're not that far along yet. We haven't even been to the moon since the 60s.
Are we going to the moon? Presumably.
Do you think we didn't go to the moon? Oh, I still think Elvis is alive. And nobody shot John F. Kennedy, okay.
Will someone shoot John F. Kennedy?
Maybe it's not funny, but it's pretty funny, and I love it when it's funny. The evil scum, having tied Tom up in the forest, proceeds to interrogate, in the process of which they suddenly notice Jody's medallion. For some reason, this is wildly infuriating, but when the exact same locket is found on Samantha, the German suddenly decides to show his own, exactly the same locket, inside which a photo of Samantha's mother and Jody's grandmother is found. The author of the script, M. Night Shyamalan, the German, leads everyone to ask if he has the same medallion. To which Tom replies that he doesn't have a medallion, but he does have some knowledge. What do you know? How to untie knots. Well, yes. A little bit of everything, but the film was shot almost on the knee with literally the most disgusting actors that could only be found. So please treat this with understanding. Back in the hut, the Rebbies begin to realize the whole situation. Now listen carefully. Since Samantha's mother and Jody's grandmother are in the photo in the locket, it means that this German is Samantha's father and Jody's grandfather, so Jody is Samantha's daughter Tony. As it is not difficult to guess, Jody's son and Samantha's grandson. Furthermore, we learn that this German is going to die very soon during the bombing. Why bombard some forest wilderness? It doesn't matter. After her husband's death, Samantha's mother will marry an American and move to America with Samantha, where Samantha will also get married. But a few years before Jody's birth, her mother and stepfather will die in a car accident. Her husband goes to fight in Vietnam, where he also dies. Therefore, when the time comes to give birth, no one will be able to help Samantha, and because of complications during childbirth, she will die. Jody, having lost both parents, is sent to be raised by her father's parents, who do not particularly like her, are forced to live under the stairs and take letters from Hogwarts. As a result, Jody grows up to be a tough shoplifter. We remember that at the beginning of the film, she killed the seller, but we do not know that after that she will kill her boyfriend, for which she will be convicted and sentenced to death. We also find out that she managed to get knocked up by this guy. Get knocked up by Tom. She gives birth to Tom in prison, after which she is executed. Le Pizduc, having no relatives at all, goes to the orphanage at the church, where some shit happens to him, and because of which, when he reaches adulthood, he returns to this orphanage, kills one particular Mr. Priest, after which he does Roskam Nadzer. Here is such a sad story. And who is to blame for all this? Hitler fucking Hitler, I'm in shock, who would have known? After all, if Samantha's Nazi father, who died in the war organized by Hitler, had not died, her mother would not have remarried, and would not have died in a car accident. Then Samantha would have been helped during childbirth, she would not have died, and then Jody would have grown up in a loving family, having no reason to become a criminal element. Accordingly, then everything would have been fine for Tom, too. And how to solve this situation? That's right, we need to save the German from death. The only problem is that he doesn't want to listen to anything, because he has a responsible task that needs to be completed. Then, the guys decide to press it with force. But they don't take into account the fact that this German is a trained killing machine. Therefore, as a result of a short fight, Jody catches a bullet in the belly, which is why Tom simply ceases to exist. Great-grandfather and great-grandson grappled drunkenly, spoiled the space-time continuum for everyone. Every circle of samsara is the same. At this moment, the bombing begins, and Samantha barely manages to persuade her father, who has already done business, to take refuge in a bomb shelter. In the process of bombing, Samantha disappears, which means the prank was a success. By the way, the bombing is literally the most miserable part of the film. By God, if we were shown not how everything explodes, but just a shaking camera and a tense German face, it would only be better. In any case, after all these events, we are shown Jodie in the same store as at the beginning of the film. Only now she's not a bandit. After paying for her purchases, she goes out. At the same time, her boyfriend from that reality flies into the store, but with another girl. They rob the store in the same way, the Hindu says something meaningful in the same way. And then the film seems to hint that this girl will get fucked in the same way, where she will have to face something incomprehensible. Apparently, this Indian is a magician. Jodie returns home, where she and Samantha take the urn with the ashes somewhere. I think this urn contains the ashes of that German. And on the one hand, it's very nice that they care about him so much. But on the other hand, it's a little difficult for me to sympathize with the Nazi. It's not that I'm doing any discrimination against Nazism, it's just that for me, being a Nazi is a little wrong. But we don't see Tom at the end anymore. Maybe Jodie had an abortion, I don't know. For Tom in general, it didn't end so cool. I don't really like movies about time travel, about time loops. In general, I don't really respect fiction as a genre. That's my crappy taste. But I looked at the entrance to Nowhere with a huge buzz. Probably because he's wildly funny. And I just fucking love the whole movie. There are disgusting actors, disgusting camera work, disgusting special effects, and it's just amazing. Well, fly to me on a boost. I have just a little bit left before 100 paid subscribers. And when she does get enough, oh, this will begin. You have no idea. I'm not even going to talk about it, it will be so grandiose. Actually, in addition to the fact that by subscribing to Boost, you support my great creativity. A certain amount of exclusive content opens up for you, which is not available on YouTube at the moment. There are only 3 exclusive videos, but what kind? I express the greatest respect to all those who have already subscribed to my Busty, as well as to those who donate to me. It's just kick-ass how it helps me do what I do. Thank you very much. Don't be Nazis, smile more often, and see you soon.